We all know that any building is only as good as its foundation. Well, Dr. Marshall believes the same thing, but about a different type of structure, the human body. We spend a lot of time and energy as coaches working on every area of athletic development to make our kids better. We run drills, we lift weights, we do sprints, run stairs. But Dr. David Marshall, friend of the show and director of sports medicine at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, kind of has a different opinion about something that might get overlooked a lot, and that has to do with our feet. What is it about our feet that's so important?
Well, I think the most important thing about the feet is that's the place where your body hits the road. That's where the rubber hits the road. So these athletes, I guess aside from swimmers and cyclists, the feet and how the foot interacts with the ground is very important with athletic performance and injury prevention.
So what are some of the problems that we face as far as our kids go with their feet?
One of the things that I'm starting to see very common in my sports medicine practice is pronation. Pronation, the lay term is flat feet. If you look at a kid's feet from behind, you want to make sure that they don't collapse their arches. The kids that collapse their arches or lose that arch a little bit pronate, and that can have significant impact on increasing the development of a lower extremity pain syndrome or injury, and also performance.
All right, so once you've figured out your kid's flat-footed, what can you do about it?
Well, you need to correct the flat-footedness. In other words, if you find out your kid's nearsighted, you get them glasses. If you find out they have flat feet, you get them some kind of orthotics. And pronation, it varies to different degrees, and we've all seen that. You walk behind a child, whether it be at Six Flags or at school, that's in bare feet or flip-flops, and they're actually bearing weight on their insteps. That's really flat feet, and that kid's going to be at a high risk of injuries, where other kids just might pronate ever so slightly. So the way that you treat it depends on the degree of the pronation.
And how does pronation affect athletic performance?
Well, it can really affect it in two ways. It can increase injury or increase the risk of injury, and it can also decrease performance. The way it increases injury is pretty simple. If you think of take of the foot, there's 26 bones that make up the foot and the ankle, and it was designed to hit the ground, roll to the neutral position, and then push off. When the kids pronate, they still hit the ground with the outside of their foot like they should, and then they pronate to the neutral position during stance, and that gives those 26 bones the proper alignment to develop the most torque to push off on. So your vertical leap and your propulsion forces are going to be better as long as those feet are lined up. In the kid that pronates, number one, they hit the ground, they roll inward to the neutral position, but they don't stop. They roll inward farther and collapse those arches. When those arches collapse, then those 26 bones of the foot and the ankle tend to collapse a little bit. Think of a 26 brick wall. If there's 26 bricks in a wall and they collapse a little, it becomes a much less stable wall. So number one, that athlete's foot is on the ground longer than it should be, which slows them down. And number two, when they decide to push off, they don't have near the stability to push off to gain forces. So they can lose speed and they can lose performance if they pronate.
And they can also get injured. Show us some of your little toys that you...
Well, getting into the injuries, they definitely can get injured, and the injuries can be just generalized ankle pain, shin splints, which is very common in distance runners. Kids that pronate, just think about it. They put a lot more pressure on the inside of their ankles and legs, and shin splints is due to the increased stress on the inside edge of the shin bone. Even knee pain, low back pain, even hip pain can be attributed to pronation. Think of your car. If you have a broken axle, you have one tire that's flat, or both tires have decreased air pressure, I don't care how nice of an engine you put in your car, if you don't have proper wheel alignment or air pressure, you're going to lose performance. And the body's the same way.
So are these just general shoe inserts?
Yeah, when I see kids that have pronation, or we identify it, and I start talking about how to correct it, we get into orthotics. And orthotic is a shoe insert and an arch support that can be used to prevent pronation. Most shoes, such as these New Balance, they put some type of a shoe insert or an orthotic in their shoe, and New Balances are removable, and you look at that, but that's not really a very rigid support. If a kid pronates, he or she's going to collapse that very readily. So the thing that they put in their shoes really isn't adequate to correct the pronator. So then you need to look into some other type of orthotic or some other extra device that you can put in, and you can get them anywhere from the $11.99 ones at Eckerd's or Walgreens, or you can spend into the $400 to $500 to get a nice custom orthotic. For the kids that still have the potential to grow, I find it hard to recommend spending a lot of money or making an investment for something like this. if the kids might grow out of it within a year or so. That, to me, that's not a very good investment. So I'm kind of left with the semi-custom or the off-the-shelf orthotics. And there's places like Fleet Feet, Fidipides, Big Peach Running, Foot Solutions. There's all kinds of places out there that can give you a nice semi-custom orthotic. This is called a Super Feet, which I think goes for about $59 to $60 at a good running shoe company or even sporting goods stores. REI, Dick's, and even Sports Authority have orthotics very similar to this, which are pretty good to get kids through a season or two, depending on the size of their foot. This is another one. This comes from a guy that I know named Jim Fox, who's the founder of Multisport Orthotics, and he's a certified athletic trainer and certified orthotist. And what he does is he takes a orthotic that's already made, and then he tries to modify it as best he can to fit the needs of the foot. So it's really the true semi-custom orthotic. He doesn't build one from scratch, but he really saves a lot of cost because he modifies an already made orthotic.
So what's the difference in that and the $600 one?
Well, the $600 one, the materials, it's made a little sturdy. This is designed to last a lifetime. This will not wear out. It's going to last you many years. Where something like this, it's more molded plastic, or something like this, it's not. The materials going into it aren't nearly as expensive. The polymer resins that they use aren't designed to last forever, but they could last you a good couple of years depending on the foot size.
Once again, a lot of great information, Doc. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you have any questions at all, just go up to our blog section. Whatever blog happens to be there, even if it's not about orthotics, ask Dr. Marshall the question. I promise you, he never tires of talking about orthotics. I think he asks ladies in the checkout line at the grocery store if they're flat-footed and tries to get them an orthotic. He's very passionate about making sure people's feet are healthy, and we're passionate about you. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it and look forward to seeing you right back here next time for another great edition of Clubhouse Gas.